Okay, protista. Oh yeah, I've written here also. Neat. Okay. So kingdom protista, which is the second kingdom of our five kingdom classification. Now here, all the eukaryotic organisms that are single cell, they come under this kingdom. This kingdom consists of the chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds, and the protozoans. All of these are the major groups that come under the kingdom protista. Now, talking about the general features of the kingdom protista. So, this is the most important feature, that all the unicellular eukaryotic organisms are present in this. The membrane bound nucleus and the cell organelles are obviously present because they are eukaryotic. Habitat is mostly aquatic. Some of them have flagella and cilia present in them. Okay, some are like if any organism has a flagella or cilia present, it means that they are motile. Reproduction can be asexual or sexual. Cell fusion and zygote formation takes place. Now, students, you have the notes for this chapter, right? Yes or
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
Yes. Jesslyn, you also have it?
Yes, ma'am.
I can't see your video. It's a cat twisting its tail. Why, Jason? Still, still the same. Okay, talking about chrysophytes. So the chrysophytes is the group that contains diatoms and golden algae. Golden algae are also known as desmids. So diatoms and desmids are present in the chrysophytes. The habitat that they have is freshwater or marine water, meaning technically they are aquatic in their habitat. They are microscopic and they float in the water current. They can also be called as the plankton. The mode of nutrition present in them is mostly photosynthesis, right? Meaning they are autotrophic, they can synthesize their own food. The diatoms, the cell, like they are unique in terms of having a cell wall which is made up of silica, which is one of the most hardest, you can say, substance that is present, and it is indestructible. Indestructible means it cannot be easily destroyed. The cell wall looks like a soap box, meaning they have overlapping shells. One is the upper and one is the lower. The upper one is known as epitheca and the lower one is called as hypotheca. Now, diatoms, they are the chief producers in the ocean, meaning they are the ones that synthesize the organic matter, or they are the ones that do photosynthesis in the aquatic system. Then comes diatomaceous earth. What is it? So, when many of these diatoms die, okay, they die. So their cell wall will still remain there. Why? Because the cell walls, they are indestructible because of the presence of silica. So what happens? Their cell wall deposit, they start getting accumulated for a large like point of time, and it becomes a soil, and that soil is gritty. Gritty means that it is very rough, it's not smooth, and that soil is used in polishing and filtration of oils and syrups. Okay, so it is used for that. Then comes the dinoflagellates. Any doubts in diatom, students? Any doubts? Then comes the dinoflagellates. Now, the dinoflagellates are the ones that are like mostly marine in terms of their habitat, and they are also photosynthetic, meaning they are autotrophic in nature. The body color depends upon the pigment that they have in them. They can be yellow in color, they can be green in color, blue and red in color. The cell wall contains stiff cellulose plates on the outer surface, and flagella is present. So they have two types of flagella in their body. That is, one is a longitudinal flagella and one is a transverse flagella. Now, the most commonly appearing dinoflagellates are the red dinoflagellates, the examples for which are Goniolax and Gymnodium. Goniolax and Gymnodium, they are red in color because of the pigment phycoerythrin that is there. Now, the red dinoflagellates, they divide very rapidly and make the sea appear red in color. This phenomena is known as red tide. So, many a times this can also be asked that the red tide is caused by which organism? So you should know that it is caused by the red dinoflagellates, that is Goniolax and Gymnodium. And they, how is it formed? Like they divide a lot. And since they are red in color, so because of like since they are present in the sea, so the whole entire sea appears red in color. The phenomena is called as red tide. Talking about their defense mechanism, so they release certain toxins as a defense mechanism so that they can defend themselves, and these toxins are known as saxitoxins, and whichever organism comes to attack these dinoflagellates, they get the toxin in them. Clear? 1 second, students, excuse me. Yes. Now coming on to the next kind of dinoflagellates, these are the euglenoids. And remember that the euglenoids, they show some property that is related to the animals and some properties that are related to the plants. So because of this very reason, we call them as the connecting link between the plants and animals. Now, how? Because you can say it can show the autotrophic nutrition as well as it shows the heterotrophic nutrition, because of which we call it as the connecting link between the plant and the animal. Talking about the habitat that they have, so they are freshwater dwellers. They live in fresh water. They do not live in the marine or the sea water, and mostly they live in stagnant water. Stagnant water is the water in which it's not moving. They do not have the cell wall present in them, but a protein-rich layer called as the pellicle is present in them, which makes their body very flexible. The flagella, obviously, whenever it will be there, it will be used for locomotion. And the number of flagella that it has is two. One is a shorter flagella and one is the longer flagella. Talking about the nutrition. So the nutrition, whenever there is the presence of sunlight, so they would do autotrophic mode of nutrition. And whenever the sunlight is absent, so they would do heterotrophic mode of nutrition. That is mostly predation. They predate. Now the pigments that are found in the euglenoids, they are very similar to the ones in the higher plants, meaning chlorophyll is present in them. And the best example for euglenoid is euglena. So always remember this one thing, that they are the connecting link in between the plants and the animals. Then comes the slime modes. Now the slime modes, they are the saprophytic organisms. They are decomposers. And what happens is that body moves along the dead and the decaying organism and then breaks it down, meaning decomposes it. Now, during favorable conditions, they form a large aggregation which is known as plasmodium. Whenever there is a favorable condition. Now, during unfavorable condition, the plasmodium divides and forms the fruiting bodies at the tip. So, this plasmodium is sort of like responsible for the reproduction. Now, during unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium divides and forms fruiting bodies, and from the fruiting bodies, the spores develop. Okay, and the spores are formed. Students, switch on your videos. The spores have cell wall present in them, okay, and they are extremely resistant, right? Nothing can destroy them, nothing can harm them. So they are extremely resistant to survive the hard conditions. Spores are dispersed by the air. So whenever they come in contact with the air, they move from, like they are dispersed from one place to another. Then comes protozoa. Now, protozoans are those organisms that are mostly parasites. None of them have autotrophic mode of nutrition. They are parasitic in nature and they are the most primitive animals. Why? Because they are, like they particularly have heterotrophic mode of nutrition and they are capable of locomotion. So that is why like protozoans are predators or parasites. Now the protozoans, they have further been divided into the different types depending upon, you can say, their nature, their shape, and their motility. Now the protozoans are divided into four groups: amoeboid, flagellated, ciliated, sporozoans. These are the four groups. Then we have amoeboid protozoans for the first. Now amoeboid, amoeba-like organisms. They are freshwater, they can found in seawater and moist soil. Mostly they are aquatic, but they can also be found in the moist soil. Now they move and capture their prey with the help of pseudopodia, that is their false feet. So they capture their prey with that. Those forms that are found in the marine water, they have silica present on their shells. Entamoeba histolytica is an amoeboid protozoan which causes the disease called as dysentery. Then comes flagellated protozoan. Flagellated tells us that flagella will be present surrounding them. So their habitat will either be free living or parasitic. Mode of locomotion is through the flagella. Then trypanosoma. This is a particular flagellated protozoan which causes a disease called as sleeping sickness. These things are very important, students, in terms of NEET examination. You can say match the following can come from these, like which organism is causing which kind of disease. Then comes ciliated protozoan. Now they have cilia all around their body surface and they are aquatic in nature. Mode of locomotion is like mostly because of the cilia, and their body has a cavity which is called as gullet, in which the digestion happens and all of those things. Example for the ciliated protozoan is paramecium. Then we have the sporozoans. Now, sporozoans are the ones that do not have any locomotory structures present. No mode of locomotion is present in them. So, they are spore-like infectious agents. They are spore-like and they are infectious. Like none of them are useful to humans, rather they are infectious to humans. Talking about the best example for a sporozoan is Plasmodium, which is responsible for causing the disease that is malaria. Now see the Plasmodium here in this case, that is a protozoan, and the Plasmodium in the case wherein the slime moles are there. Both of them are different. One is an aggregation and the other one is the name of the organism. So pay attention to that, okay, students? Don't get confused because of it. Now, after that comes the kingdom Plantae. Now, the kingdom Plantae is like very small thing. We know that all the photosynthetic organisms will be found in this. They are eukaryotic in nature, meaning they will have membrane-bound nucleus, membrane-bound cell organelles. All of these things will be present. But it's not that all the members of the kingdom Plantae are autotrophic. There are some that are heterotrophic in nature, meaning there are some that do not make their own food, such as the insectivorous plants and the parasitic plants. Insectivorous plants like bladderwort, Venus flytrap, then pitcher plant, all of these plants cannot photosynthesize. Parasitic plants like Cuscuta, they cannot photosynthesize. Clear, students? Then comes the divisions of the kingdom Plantae. So they like the kingdom Plantae, you people have already studied this chapter. So you know that it has been divided into the division algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms. Then comes the kingdom fungi. Now, kingdom fungi, you know that none of the organism in this kingdom will be autotrophic. Okay, none. They will all be heterotrophic in nature. And all of us know about fungus. It is present everywhere, right? The spoilage of the food is because of fungus. There are many fungus that we eat also, such as mushrooms. There are many fungal diseases that take place in plants and animals both. And there are many fungi that are poisonous, such as the Amanita. Now, all the members of the kingdom fungi, they are multicellular except for one, that is yeast. The Saccharomyces is unicellular in nature. The rest, all of them are filamentous and they are multicellular. The habitat, like the fungi, they are cosmopolitan. The meaning of cosmopolitan is that they are present everywhere. It's not like you can, it's like there is no place where the fungi will not be there. They are present everywhere. Now, they occur everywhere, such as they are present in the air, water, soil, on animals, and even on the plants. And one thing is that they like prefer the warm and humid places for living. And because of that, whenever we put like food in the fridge, that is why fungal growth cannot take place on it. Talking in terms of the body of the fungi, so it is long, slender, and thread-like body that is called as hypha. And when many multiple hypha come together, we have mycelium, which is a trough of hypha. Now, the hyphae, they are continuous tube, and some of them can be a situation wherein they will have multiple nuclei present in one hypha without any wall. So, we call it as cenocytic hyphae. The most common thing that you all know that the cell wall of the fungi is made up of chitin and polysaccharide. Now, the mode of nutrition that these fungal organisms have, they have saprophytic mode, parasitic mode, symbiotic mode. These are the various modes of nutrition. And when we talk about the symbiotic, like saprophytic, you understand that it will decompose. Parasitic, you understand that it will be a parasite on or in the body of other organisms. But as a symbiotic, lichen and mycorrhiza, these are the two symbiotic relationships. The first one, the lichen, is the symbiotic association of a fungus along with an algae. And the mycorrhiza is the symbiotic association of a fungus along with the roots of higher plants. Clear, students? Are you people listening to me? Or am I just speaking to myself?
They're listening, ma'am.
Good. All right. In terms of reproduction, the reproduction in the fungi, it can be vegetative, asexual, and sexual. Abhi, do you have these notes?
No, ma'am.
None of it. You've not done this chapter with me?
No, ma'am. We have not done this chapter. I was not there.
Okay, you were not there. You should have told me, na? I would have stopped for you. Okay. You do one thing, you take a screenshot for this kingdom fungi. Done?
One second, ma'am. Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Now coming on to the reproduction that takes place in the case of fungi. So now the fungi has three kinds of reproduction: vegetative, asexual, and sexual. Now vegetative, all of you already know that vegetative reproduction is the one wherein the vegetative parts of the body, they perform the reproduction, such as fragmentation, budding, and fission. Now, in the case of fragmentation, the body of the organism, it breaks into certain fragments, and then each of those fragments, they develop into new organisms. Budding is an outgrowth that is present on top of the body, and then that bud detaches and develops into a new organism. And then fission is just like binary fission, wherein firstly the DNA will divide, then the cell will divide. Clear? This is what happens in the case of vegetative propagation. Here, no gametes, nothing of that sort is happening. Then comes asexual reproduction. Now, asexual reproduction, again, gametes are not involved. Here, the reproduction takes place with the help of spores. Now, the spores can be exogenous or endogenous, or exospore or endospore. Now, the spores that are present outside, they are the exospore, and the ones that are present or developed inside is the endospore. Now, these are the examples of the various kinds of spores. Conidia, which is an exospore, then sporangiospore, which is an endospore. Zoospore is again also an endospore. So these are the example of endospore, I mean asexual spores. The asexual spores can be endo or exo, meaning they can be present inside the fungal body or the outside. Then comes the sexual reproduction. Now, the sexual reproduction takes place by sexual spores. Okay, asexual reproduction takes place by asexual spores, and sexual reproduction takes place by sexual spores. Here, spores are produced in the fruiting bodies. So, there are special structures that are called as fruiting bodies, inside of which these sexual spores are produced. Now, some sexual spores are oospores, basidiospores, and ascospores. These are the common names of the sexual spores. Now, there is a proper sexual cycle that takes place in the fungus, and the sexual cycle takes place in 3 steps: plasmogamy, plasma, right, which is the fusion of the cytoplasm. Then karyogamy, plasmogamy is followed by karyogamy. Now, karyogamy is fusion of 2 nuclei. Karyo means nucleus. Gamy means fusion. Then, after the 2 nuclei have been fused, there is the formation of zygote, and then that zygote develops to form haploid spores. This is like every event that takes place in the sexual cycle of the fungi. Now, during the process of sexual reproduction, 2 haploid, meaning like 2 haploid hyphae. Haploid, you understand? Diploid and haploid. Haploid means 1 set of chromosome. Diploid means 2 sets of chromosome. So, during the sexual reproduction, the 2 haploid hyphae of compatible mating type, they come together and then they fuse. And after they fuse, a diploid situation, a diploid zygote is formed. And then this diploid zygote undergoes division to form haploid spores. But mostly what happens in sometimes in ascomycetes and basidiomycetes, meaning the 2 groups of fungi, there comes a stage wherein one cell has 2 nuclei. Normally, one cell is supposed to have 1 nucleus, but sometimes one cell has 2 nuclei, and that case is a dikaryophase. It is a short duration of time for which this is a one cell will have 2 nucleus. But after that, these 2 nucleus will fuse and form one cell with 1 nuclei, that is diploid. Clear? Any doubts? Do you want me to go slower? Because this is the first time you're studying this. Do you want me to go slower? No?
Mm, it's right.
Talking about the fungi. So the fungi is divided into four classes. Now we know that if at all we are dividing anything, so we should have or we need to have a basis of division. So the fungi is divided into four classes according to the morphology of mycelium. Morphology means the external appearance of how mycelium looks like. The mode of spore formation, like what is the mode of like spore forming, and then which kind of fruiting bodies are present. So these are the criteria which are taken for the you can say division of fungi into classes. Okay, now the fungi has been divided into these four major classes: Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes, and Deuteromycetes. These are the four classes of fungi. Clear? Now you
Yes.
do one thing, Abhi. Now you start writing it down. Okay. For that part, which I've already made you take screenshots, that's all right. But now you note it down. Okay.
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am. Done.
Okay, any doubts?
No, ma'am.
All right, so the class number one, that is Phycomycetes. Now, Phycomycetes, they are very commonly called as algal fungi. Okay, it is their common name. Now, their habitat, they are aquatic in terms of habitat. They can be present on the moist, decaying wood also. They are found in damp places and they are present as obligate parasites as well. Obligate means strictly parasitic in nature. Now, the mycelium that they have aseptate mycelium, meaning the mycelium that does not have any walls present, and cenocytic. Cenocytic is the condition wherein multiple nuclei are present. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores, that is the motile spores, and the aplanospores, that is the non-motile spores. And both of them are endogenous, meaning they are not produced outside the body, they are rather produced inside the body. Sexual reproduction takes place by the formation of zygospores. When two gametes fuse, zygospore is formed. Now the gametes, they can be isogamous, anisogamous, or oogamous. Just like how in plant kingdom you might have studied. Also, Abhi, tell me one thing. What are all those chapters that you have not done with me? That I have not taught you?
Ma'am, plant kingdom we haven't done.
Okay. And
And
biological classification.
yeah, biological
Animal
class.
kingdom.
Animal kingdom we have done.
Okay. Now, talking about the isogamous condition in which iso means the same. So the gametes, when they are same in size, same in terms of motility, structure, and everything, so we call it as isogametes. Then comes anisogametes, meaning they are not same, right? They are dissimilar in size or shape or anything. Then comes oogametes. Oogamete is when one gamete is motile and the other gamete is non-motile. Okay. And the non-motile one is larger and the motile one is smaller in size. Okay, so this was about Phycomycetes, also known as algal fungi. The examples for Phycomycetes. Can you see the screen? Because I can't see this.
No, ma'am. I cannot see.
The examples for Phycomycetes are mucor, that is also called as pin mold, rhizopus, which is the bread mold, and albugo, which is a parasitic fungi. It is a parasitic fungi on plant, mustard plant. So this was about Phycomycetes. Then comes the class 2, second class of the fungi, that is Ascomycetes. Now Ascomycetes, they are commonly known as sac fungi. All members are multicellular in them except for one, that is yeast. Yeast is a unicellular fungi that belongs to Ascomycetes. Now the mode of nutrition that they have, it can be saprophytic, decomposition, parasitic, and coprophilous. Coprophilous is when the fungi grows on the cow dung. The mycelium can be branched and septate, meaning a wall will be present and they are branched. Asexual spores are conidia, which is an exogenous spore, exospore, produced outside. When each conidia germinates, a new mycelium is made. Sexual spores are ascospores. Now, ascospores are produced in the fruiting body called as ascocarp, and ascocarp sort of looks like a sac. That is why they are known as sac fungi, because they have a fruiting body that looks like a sac. The examples for Ascomycetes are claviceps, neurospora, which is also known as the Drosophila of the plant kingdom, because normally Drosophila is that insect that is used for this thing, the genetic work or the work to study genes and inheritance and everything. So in the case of fungi, this neurospora is used. Then morels and truffles, these are the two edible fungi that comes, or you can say belongs to Ascomycetes. Clear? Then comes Basidiomycetes. Now Basidiomycetes, they are also known as club fungi commonly. The hypha is branched and septate. The common known form, the most common one is the mushroom. Mushroom belongs to Basidiomycetes. And also puffballs, they also come in Basidiomycetes. Their habitat, like they can be found in the soil, on the log of trees, the tree stumps, meaning at the base of the trees, and even as parasites. Now, they are parasites of plants and they cause diseases such as rust and smut. Okay, these are the two diseases of plants that are caused by Basidiomycetes. Asexual reproduction does not take place in them. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation, and sexual reproduction takes place by sexual spores, that is basidiospores. Basidiospores are also exogenous spores. Exogenous means they are present outside or they are made outside. They are produced on top of a fruiting body called as basidia or basidium. Ultimately, not actually the fruiting body, these are the structures that arise from the fruiting body, that is known as basidiocarp. Examples for Basidiomycetes are Agaricus campestris, which is the common mushroom, Ustilago, which causes smut in plants, Puccinia, which causes rust in plants, and Amanita, which is the most poisonous mushroom. That mushroom emoji that we have in the WhatsApp keyboard, the red one, that is Amanita. Okay, the red one, the red mushrooms are always the most poisonous. Then comes the last class of fungi called as Deuteromycetes. They are also known as fungi imperfecti, meaning they are imperfect fungi. And the reason why they are imperfect, because no mode of sexual reproduction has ever been found in them. Only asexual reproduction is found and sexual reproduction is not known in them. They have a branched and septate hypha. The asexual spores is conidia, and the mode of reproduction, like mode of nutrition, some of them are saprophytic in nature and some are parasitic. Saprophytic means they'll decompose. Maximum number of them are decomposers of the litters and they help in the mineral cycling. Like these are very important, even though they are imperfect fungi, but they are very important. Examples for Deuteromycetes are Alternaria, Colecotrichum, Trichoder. Any doubts? So with this, we have completed the kingdom fungi. Okay. Now, if you have like Abhi, this is especially for you, like if you, since you have not done this with me, the others are having a revision for it. But for you, if you have any doubts, you feel free to ask. Okay. All right. Now you can note it down.
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am. Dead, ma'am.
Okay, any doubts up until now?
No.
Okay, you complete this, then we'll start with the normal portion that we were doing.